There was a guy at school named Huisu who had a reputation as a love guru. Even his gym teacher sought his advice about relationship problems. Everyone who sought Huisu's romantic advice ultimately succeeded. Despite his reputation, Huisu rarely made public appearances. At that moment, 3 girls chatted about Huisu while waiting in line for food. Each referred to him as the second-year student, since they couldn't recall his name. This, of course, really frustrated Huisu. Just then, Ginho made his entrance. The moment he walked in, all eyes were on him. Ginho was Huisu's best friend. Ginho was the perfect student, through and through. He was incredibly athletic, strikingly handsome, and a true academic prodigy. Ginho's reputation at school was impeccable. He excelled flawlessly in everything. This made Huisu feel like nothing more than Ginho's shadow. Yet Huisu harbored a secret he'd never shared with anyone. He had a secret crush on his best friend Ginho. On the way home from school that day, a girl stopped Huisu to chat. This girl had a crush on a boy from the track team. Huisu listened intently to her story.
But just as Huisu asked why she hadn't confessed yet,
She shyly explained she didn't want to be a bother. Her predicament mirrored Huisu's own struggle perfectly. Curious, the girl asked if Huisu had someone he liked. The question caught Huisu completely off guard. He had grown up in a large family with many sisters. He would hear his sisters cry from heartbreak every day. To escape the noise, he went to the rooftop to call Ginho. Huisu asked if Ginho and his girlfriend were still together. Ginho sadly revealed he'd been dumped, which took Huisu by surprise. Huisu guessed that Ginho's playful nature might have been the reason. Then, Ginho asked about the girl who had come to see Huisu that afternoon. Huisu explained she was just seeking advice. Just after hanging up, Huisu froze, realizing someone was watching him. The next day, Huisu found a carton of orange milk on his desk when he entered the classroom. Just as Ginho was about to speak, another boy interrupted them. The class erupted in teasing, wondering if someone had a crush on Huisu. Huisu chuckled at his friend's reaction. Ginho found it amusing and joined in. Suddenly, Huisu's gaze fell on a boy sitting in the front row. Just then, Ginho asked Huisu, "Would you go out with me?" This unexpected question left Huisu momentarily speechless. Ginho quickly explained, "If we pretend to be dating, maybe fewer girls will bother us." That was Ginho's flaw. He always stirred up emotions too easily. Ginho noticed Huisu's unusual behavior and thought he was angry, so he apologized. Unlike Ginho, Huisu had never dated before. It was club registration day. Up until that point, from middle school on, Huisu had always chosen the same club as Ginho. But this time, he wanted to try something new. During break, Huisu went to see the teacher to request approval for his astronomy club application. However, because club activities took place late at night, the teacher did not approve it. Huisu stormed back to class in a rage. Just as Huisu was chatting and laughing with a few friends, Jiyu scolded him. Huisu was startled, wondering if he had done something to offend Jiyu. Ginho asked Huisu if he was still humming when he opened the door. It turned out the noise from Huisu's home had annoyed their neighbor Jiyu. After school, Huisu sat waiting for the bus. When Jiyu approached, feeling uneasy, Huisu took a step back. Just as Huisu was about to board, Ginho ran over. Ginho invited Huisu to play video games with him. Seeing their closeness, Jiyu felt jealous and silently walked home alone. Jiyu's house was always cold and quiet. He studied late into the night every day, until the sounds from Huisu's home woke him. Huisu returned home to find his sister lying on the floor, devastated. Seeing her state, he knew she must have just gone through a breakup. Huisu knew her sister's state all too well. The only thing that could cheer her up was when Huisu cooked her noodles. Just then, the eldest sister returned. She happily accepted the bowl of noodles Huisu offered and began eating while recounting a love story. The story was so captivating they all watched intently. By the end, the sister had nearly finished the entire bowl. Only a small amount remained in the pot, so Huisu decided to give some noodles to her sister. In exchange for borrowing his sister's camera, his sister agreed to Huisu's request. Huisu borrowed the camera to film Ginho skateboarding. They had already arranged to meet at the park. Ginho brought out the leftover carton of milk from that morning. surprising Huisu. Huisu carefully captured the moment Ginho was present. Just as Huisu was skateboarding, Ginho rushed over. Startled, Huisu fell down. Ginho laughed as he helped Huisu up. Just then, a friend arrived. The moment Huisu saw her, he realized this friend had feelings for Ginho. Huisu had categorized his clients into 3 types. First, the messengers. They just wanted him to pass gifts to Ginho. Second, the negotiators. They'd introduce friends to Huisu, hoping to get a connection to Ginho.
This friend, however, was the perceptive type. She always got straight to the heart of things.
She asked Huisu if she liked boys. The question hit Huisu right where it hurt. Startled and defensive, he angrily told his friend to leave. The next day, when Huisu went to class, he received another box of orange milk. Huisu desperately wanted to know who sent it. After school, Ginho suddenly asked Huisu which club he planned to join, but Huisu hadn't decided yet. Unexpectedly, Ginho said the peer counseling club would suit Huisu perfectly. That evening, Huisu wandered aimlessly in the park. He captured people's joy through his lens. Yet his only happiness came from being with Ginho. Huisu thought about Ginho every day, hesitating over whether to confess his feelings. The next day, Huisu submitted his application. He chose the peer counseling club. Due to his reputation, Huisu was granted special permission to join the club. Ginho was also a member of the club, which made Huisu feel a bit less like an outsider. Their job was managing the school's student news website. That evening, Huisu read a post about an orange milk carton. A confession. Huisu shook his head, thinking it unlikely Ginho liked him. Just then, Huisu's track team friend arrived. She said she'd been rejected, but her mood had lifted. She encouraged Huisu to bravely confess too. After school, Ginho waited for Huisu again. They were inseparable as always, which fueled Huisu's hopes. That evening, he arranged to meet Ginho. Huisu sprinted to the meeting spot like lightning. He felt both anxious and nervous. Though his chances seemed slim, Huisu was determined to seize this opportunity. Just as Huisu was about to confess, Ginho appeared and interrupted him. Ginho mentioned there was a club activity the next day, then left. As Huisu prepared to continue his confession, he noticed a ring on Ginho's finger. Ginho explained that his girlfriend wanted matching couple rings. Huisu's heart sank. He returned home, completely heartbroken. But what Huisu didn't know was that Ginho had been following him all along. It turned out Ginho had chased after Huisu the moment he ran into the park. Ginho had already realized his feelings for Huisu. Just then, Ginho's mother pushed open the door and walked in. She handed her son 2 concert tickets. "I want my son to focus on his studies," she said, "but he should also take his girlfriend out occasionally." Ginho impatiently shut the door. He held the 2 tickets, lost in thought. At school, Ginho stood out every day. He always helped his friends unconditionally. This made Ginho very popular with the girls. Huisu could only admire Ginho from afar. When they returned to class, Huisu received another box of orange milk, but Huisu didn't know who sent it. Unexpectedly, Ginho invited Huisu to the library. Though tempted, Huisu declined. Huisu desperately wanted to confess to Ginho, but feared losing this connection. Dejected, Huisu headed to the club office. He asked Ginho if he'd seen the anonymous post. Ginho asked in surprise what the post said. Huisu excitedly explained it seemed to mention liking orange milk cartons. Ginho asked why Huisu hadn't replied, but Huisu couldn't bring himself to confess to the person he liked. On his way home, Huisu realized he'd left something in the classroom and went back to check. To his surprise, he found a girl standing by his desk. What's more, she had prepared a gift. Huisu assumed she was the girl who'd given him the milk carton and happily approached to greet her. But he discovered she didn't have a crush on him at all. She actually liked the boy sitting behind Huisu. The girl urged Huisu not to tell anyone about this. No one had a crush on Huisu at all. Even the boy who sat behind him had a secret admirer. This made Huisu start questioning the meaning of life. Huisu was left wondering, why didn't anyone like him? He was lying in his room when someone suddenly knocked on the door. Huisu was surprised to see Ginho visiting him. They then went up to the rooftop together to admire the moon. Huisu noticed Ginho looked sad, so he curiously asked what was wrong. Ginho said he didn't want to go home. Only Huisu knew Ginho's weakness. He knew Ginho had a more accomplished older brother, which put immense pressure on him. This made the brothers' relationship extremely tense, and Ginho grew increasingly distant. The next day, having overslept, Huisu hurried to catch the bus. There, he bumped into Jiyu just as he was leaving. Huisu grabbed Jiyu's arm, and they both made it onto the bus together. As soon as they entered the classroom, they saw the boy who sat behind him had already received a gift. He was so thrilled, he even bragged about it to his best friend. Ginho sarcastically remarked, "My friend just got dumped by the girl he had a crush on." Hearing this, the girl who gave him the gift grew angry, because his friend now had someone else. Only Huisu knew who the real gift giver was. He wondered what exactly made the boy sitting behind him so appealing. During PE class, Huisu lost his balance while playing badminton, but Jiyu ran over and caught him. Today, Huisu and Jiyu were on duty together again. Huisu accidentally spilled water all over Jiyu, soaking him completely. Huisu quickly apologized to Jiyu. After school, Jiyu asked Huisu to meet alone. Huisu thought Jiyu would scold him, but Jiyu just had something to say. Huisu found Jiyu's hesitant manner strangely familiar. Huisu asked, "Do you really need relationship advice?" Jiyu was surprised Huisu would think that. Huisu curiously asked if he had a crush on someone. To win Huisu's favor, Jiyu bought him a bunch of snacks, including a carton of orange-flavored milk. Seeing Huisu so happy brought Jiyu a little comfort. Huisu urged Jiyu to tell him who Jiyu liked. Jiyu asked what he should do after buying milk for the person he liked. Huisu honestly replied, "Just do things they like." Jiyu deliberately asked Huisu about his hobbies, but Huisu's answers always circled back to Ginho. Huisu grew irritated by the constant questioning about himself. Just then, she spotted her sister approaching. Seeing her sister's disheveled appearance, Huisu knew she was heartbroken again. So, Huisu bid Jiyu farewell and hurried home to comfort his sister. Suddenly, she spotted an anonymous post online about a friend who'd become famous for giving dating advice. Huisu leapt from her chair. This time, it must be about him. Overjoyed, Huisu flung open the door and called Jiyu's name, but Jiyu wasn't there. Huisu didn't care at all. Huisu arrived at class filled with hope. Yet today, no one brought Huisu milk. This made Huisu feel something was off. Ginho wondered what was wrong with Huisu today. Huisu recounted last night's anonymous post, but no one seemed to understand. Back in the classroom, Huisu saw Jiyu standing with a stunningly beautiful girl named Mina. Since Huisu and Jiyu were in different classes, she mistakenly thought Jiyu liked Mina. Unexpectedly, Jiyu invited Huisu to eat rice cakes, but Huisu declined. Seeing her friend disappointed, Huisu explained she was busy. Huisu then went home. There, her sister lay on the floor. Huisu curiously asked her sister, "Who rejected you this time?" Her sister said it was a younger male student. Huisu gently comforted her sister, saying, "It's okay." Then the two went upstairs together to eat ice cream. Huisu sent Ginho a text, but Ginho didn't reply either, which left Huisu somewhat disappointed. Meanwhile, during tutoring class, Ginho approached Mina proactively, wanting to strike up a conversation with her. However, Mina showed no interest in Ginho, though she resisted at first. Ginho shamelessly persisted in pursuing her. His persistence gradually won Mina over. After school, Ginho found a book Mina had left behind and intended to return it, just as Huisu arrived. As he was about to call out to Ginho, Mina approached and agreed to lend him the book. This was the first time Huisu had seen Ginho so happy, and a wave of jealousy began to well up inside him. He stood silently watching as Ginho walked away. That evening, Mina checked Ginho's social media accounts. She became interested in him and asked Jiyu for advice. Jiyu said he wasn't close with Ginho, only Huisu was his good friend. Just then, Huisu appeared and offered to help Jiyu find a girlfriend. A new day began. Hearing Huisu's laughter from next door, Jiyu smiled too. Huisu waited outside Jiyu's door all day. Inside, Jiyu deliberately delayed before opening the door. Seeing Huisu approach, Jiyu intentionally walked in the opposite direction, then calmly waited for Huisu to gently push the door open. The moment Huisu spotted Jiyu, he happily ran over. He wanted to know Jiu's thoughts on last night's suggestion. But Jiu asked Huisu, "Have you ever had a girlfriend before?" Huisu was furious but powerless. Huisu's goal was to bring Jiu and Mina together. He wanted to use this method to break up Ginho and Mina. In class, Huisu kept trying to persuade Jiu, "Have confidence. You can definitely win Mina's heart." Later, in the cafeteria, Ginho greeted Mina enthusiastically. He wanted to meet her after school. Mina smiled and agreed. This made Ginho very happy. Truthfully, Mina was quite beautiful. She was also the daughter of a wealthy businessman. The only problem was she didn't get along well with everyone. Someone jokingly asked Ginho if he had Mina's phone number, but Ginho knew nothing about it. Seeing Ginho so infatuated made Huisu feel uncomfortable. He immediately approached Jiu, wanting Jiu to approach Mina so the plan could succeed. Huisu agreed to help Jiu. Just then, the teacher called Ginho to the administration office. The teacher couldn't understand why Ginho had withdrawn from the tournament. After all, Ginho was an athlete who had won second place in a national competition during middle school. But for Ginho, anything less than first place was meaningless. The teacher demanded Ginho come in this weekend. This put immense pressure on Ginho. He sat there staring blankly at the tennis court. Just then, Huisu arrived. Huisu knew Ginho had something to say. Ginho didn't want to play tennis anymore. Despite Huisu's repeated pleas, Ginho only stormed off in anger. Huisu recalled that they had been classmates in middle school. Back then, Ginho always listened earnestly to Huisu's advice. Though sometimes annoyed, Ginho never compromised. This time, he rejected Huisu's advice, with one exception: the tennis club schedule. Yet Ginho had resolved to abandon his favorite sport, and now, even Huisu didn't know why he'd given it up. That evening, Ginho went to an extra class. He was surprised to see Jiu there too. Jiu said Huisu had encouraged him to sign up for the tutoring class. Jiu ran over happily upon seeing Ginho and Huisu, and they even put their arms around each other's shoulders, which made Jiu jealous. Huisu pulled Ginho to sit in the corner of the classroom, while Jiu went to Mina's seat. Mina was surprised when Jiu arrived. Ginho was somewhat startled to see Mina and Jiu walking so close together at school. During break, Ginho invited Mina to the convenience store. Huisu, looking for trouble, dragged Jiu along too. However, Mina showed no interest in joining them. Facing Huisu's determined gaze, Jiu agreed to go. The last class finally ended. Ginho left early because he was busy, leaving Huisu and Jiu to walk home together. On the way, Jiu gave Huisu concert tickets. Huisu misinterpreted Jiu's intentions. He thought that whenever Jiu did something for him, it was actually a ploy to get closer to Mina. Meanwhile, Ginho was practicing tennis. He hasn't touched a racket in ages. Though Ginho loves tennis, his family doesn't support him. Whenever feeling stressed, Ginho listened to songs by a masked female singer. It was she who inspired Ginho. A new day began. Early in the morning, Huisu kept urging Jiu to approach Mina. However, Jiu hadn't brought the concert tickets. Noticing Jiu's strange behavior, Mina grew curious. She approached him and asked, "Do you like me?" But Jiu, looking displeased, shooed Mina away, which only made Mina laugh. That evening, Jiu caught Mina's attention again. Mina asked Huisu what was going on. Huisu immediately hugged Jiu tightly, saying Jiu had something to hand over. While carrying the bag, they accidentally knocked over Mina's backpack. Just then, Ginho walked in and quickly helped Mina pick up her bag. As soon as Mina left, Ginho asked Jiu, "Are you and Mina close?" Huisu chimed in, saying the two were very close, which upset Ginho. After returning home, Ginho discovered Mina was the mysterious singer. Thanks to the bracelet she dropped, Ginho became even more certain of his suspicions. The next day, Ginho returned the bracelet to Mina. Mina was surprised Ginho had discovered this. She hoped Ginho would keep it a secret. Just then, the teacher called Ginho forward to hear his final decision. That evening, Huisu invited Ginho to his home. They discussed recent events, and Huisu advised Ginho not to abandon what he truly loved. Following his friend's counsel, Ginho clarified his own feelings. He then decisively broke up with his ex-girlfriend to pursue Mina. Huisu was delighted to see Ginho return to the tennis world. Yet soon after, he witnessed Mina filming Ginho. Their relationship appearing closer than ever before. Huisu realized his romance was nearing its end. Just then, Huisu received an anonymous private message. "Do you like Ginho?" This surprised Huisu. Who could have sent it? Huisu wasn't the only one feeling uneasy. Jiu shared the same unease. Jiu had liked Huisu for a long time, yet Huisu only had eyes for Ginho. So Jiu decided to give up everything. He tore up the 2 concert tickets with his own hands. The next day, Jiu stood at the door waiting for Huisu to go to school together. On the way, Jiu asked Huisu if he'd seen the post from last night, but Huisu was too preoccupied to notice. Seeing Huisu's sad expression, Jiu wondered what had happened. When Huisu pulled a notebook from his desk drawer, he found a note inside that read, "I'll confess for you." Huisu worried, unsure who had left it. Just then, a boy behind him snatched the paper. Huisu let out an angry yell, causing everyone to turn and stare. Seeing Huisu seemed uncomfortable, his friends stopped teasing him. Feeling frustrated, Huisu went out for a walk. Unexpectedly, he ran into Ginho, the boy he secretly admired. Recalling their previous conversation, Huisu began suspecting Ginho was the one who sent the note and messages. The next class was P, but Huisu wasn't paying attention at all. Huisu asked Ginho what he was doing after school. Ginho was heading to tennis practice. The coach was impressed by Ginho's skill level. After practice, Ginho received a message from Mina. She had received an invitation to collaborate with a famous singer. Ginho smiled and congratulated her. Ginho had his own goal. He wanted to enter a tennis tournament, but his coach wanted him to improve his physical fitness and technique first and enter the competition next year. Hearing this, Ginho felt a bit disappointed. To register for the tournament, Ginho went to the administrative office. Despite the teacher's previous warnings, Ginho's drastic change still surprised them. Given his determination, the teacher agreed to let him enter the qualifying rounds. A new day began. The moment Huisu entered the classroom, he anxiously checked if anyone had sent him any inappropriate messages. But today, no one had sent anything. Huisu turned to Ginho and asked, "Have either of you received any anonymous messages these past few days?" Neither of them had received any messages. Huisu grew increasingly anxious, completely unsure who was sending the messages. While relaxing on the rooftop, he saw his sister meeting with her ex-boyfriend. His sister said, "Huisu, don't tell anyone." Huisu smiled and replied, "Sis, do whatever you want." Huisu had been in a bad mood these past few days, which worried Jiu. After school, Huisu arranged to meet Ginho. Huisu asked, "Did you send me that anonymous message?" But Ginho genuinely had no idea what he was talking about. As Huisu was about to leave, Ginho asked if someone had confessed to Huisu. Huisu snapped, "Stop sending these anonymous messages. If you have something to say, come tell me straight up." That evening, Mina and Ginho had planned to go buy a guitar together. She felt awkward going alone. Ginho confidently smiled and volunteered to go in first. But the moment he opened the door, he was startled by 3 men inside. After that, Mina gathered her courage and stepped inside to try out the guitar. The 3 men kept glancing at her. Just as one of them reached out to touch Mina, Ginho sensed something was wrong. He grabbed Mina's hand and ran. After running a distance, Mina mocked Ginho for his cowardice. This incident made their bond stronger and more intimate. The next day during break, Huisu received another anonymous message. This one claimed that someone had taken photos of him and Ginho, which startled Huisu. He looked out the window, but saw nothing suspicious. Then an announcement was made. Their class had a soccer match against the neighboring class that day. While the 2 friends hurriedly ate their lunch, Huisu left, because he wasn't in the mood to play soccer. Even Ginho couldn't understand why Huisu had changed like this. After school, they tried to invite Huisu out to hang out, but Huisu said he had a blind date. This surprised his good friends. After school, Huisu sat alone in a cafe, feeling down. Just then, Jiu appeared, saying he happened to be passing by. Seeing Huisu sitting alone, Jiu invited him to eat fried chicken together. Meanwhile, Ginho was practicing tennis intensely at school, desperate to earn a spot on the team. However, when he got home, his father questioned him about where he was going. He warned Ginho that tennis was a waste of time and money. Ginho, furious, stormed straight to his room. Meanwhile, Mina noticed Jiu and Huisu going out alone. Ginho had almost no friends besides Mina. Mina was delighted by Ginho's newfound connection, and Ginho was also very happy at that moment. Ginho confessed he liked Huisu. This surprised Mina, but seeing Ginho's demeanor, Mina asked why he came to the academy. Ginho said it was because Huisu invited him. Mina mocked Ginho's naivety. Mina had known Ginho for a long time. Back in middle school, she happened to see him crying in the music room. Ever since then, the music room had become his secret sanctuary. Ginho's family life wasn't happy. Whenever he was at his lowest point, Mina was there for him. She rescued him from his struggles. Today, Huisu mustered the courage to meet the anonymous person. When he entered the classroom, Huisu was shocked. It turned out to be Ginho's ex-girlfriend. The ex-girlfriend claimed the entire school knew Ginho had dumped her. Feeling deeply humiliated, she now sought revenge against Huisu. Huisu couldn't understand why she was targeting him. The ex-girlfriend suspected Huisu had caused Ginho to break up with her. Huisu denied it. How could he possibly like Ginho? He even told the ex-girlfriend he'd just been on a blind date yesterday. But the ex-girlfriend didn't believe him. Just then, Ginho pushed open the door and walked in. Ginho walked over and gripped Huisu's hand tightly. The ex-girlfriend was furious that someone was interfering. Ginho said, "Huisu was with me yesterday. It has nothing to do with you." As the ex-girlfriend flared up, Ginho added, "Go talk to Ginho. Leave Huisu alone." Without hesitation, Ginho then dragged Huisu outside. Huisu was furious that Ginho had intervened without permission. Ginho stared straight into Huisu's eyes, her gaze filled with disappointment, then walked away, leaving Huisu alone. Huisu couldn't understand why Ginho was angry, but Ginho said nothing. This made Huisu wonder whether people were angry at him because he was different, or if he himself felt uncomfortable because he was different. But Ginho hadn't thought that way at all. That night, Huisu sat on the rooftop gazing at the moon. When Ginho called to ask her out, Huisu recalled her ex-girlfriend's words. They needed to keep their distance. The next day, Ginho arrived at the training ground early. The coach noticed Ginho had skipped practice that day. If he kept performing like this, Ginho might not make it through the qualifiers. After the coach left, Mina came to bring Ginho water. She sensed Ginho wasn't feeling well today, but Ginho was actually angry at Mina. He had been practicing so hard. Not everyone was as gifted as Mina. These words hurt Mina's heart and made her furious. She stormed back to the classroom. Today was their tutoring day. Huisu was supposed to sit with Ginho, but he ended up choosing the wrong seat. Mina approached Ginho and sat down beside him. Unexpectedly, Mina turned to ask Huisu what his plans were, but Huisu hadn't made any yet. Mina suggested, "Why don't the two of you go out together tomorrow?" Huisu was thrilled because Mina seemed eager to bring them together. On the way home, Huisu chattered non-stop about tomorrow's fun, but Ginho couldn't care less. Huisu said he'd find an excuse to stay home tomorrow, so Ginho and Mina could go out alone. Ginho declared, "If Huisu isn't going, I'm not going either." After getting home, Ginho tried on many new outfits, but still felt something was missing. The next day, Ginho waited outside Huisu's house. Huisu teased Ginho excitedly upon seeing him dressed so nicely. Embarrassed, Ginho left first. Mina arranged for them to meet at the amusement park, but after waiting a long time, Mina still hadn't shown up. Huisu, however, seemed quite pleased. Mina said she'd go buy popcorn first. A little while later, Mina arrived. Seeing Ginho looking after Huisu, Mina couldn't help but laugh. Huisu sensed something was off and proactively went to buy water, giving Ginho and Mina some private space. Ginho felt irritated, yet when Mina teased him, he felt guilty. Throughout the outing, only Huisu and Mina seemed to be having fun, while Ginho sat quietly in the corner, his gaze constantly following Huisu. Then, Huisu's phone rang. It was Ginho. He wanted to ask Huisu out. Huisu agreed, but then declined. Seeing Huisu talking outside for a long time, Ginho called Huisu inside. Now Ginho was left alone, sadly listening to the songs he'd downloaded. Ginho tried to message Mina to meet up and talk, but Mina didn't reply. Ginho hurried to find Mina based on the latest message. By the time he arrived, Mina had already left without a word. The outing ended and Huisu, exhausted, fell asleep on the bus. Ginho sat beside him, smiling as he watched Huisu's peaceful slumber. Unexpectedly, Huisu rested his head on Jiu's shoulder, and Jiu's heart began racing once more. A new day dawned, and Huisu waited at the door for Jiu to go to school together. Upon arriving at school, they saw Mina waiting by the classroom door. Mina handed Jiu 2 tickets to the school festival. Huisu thought Mina liked Jiu and decided to tease her, but Huisu didn't know Mina was actually trying to bring them together. That night, as Jiu slept, he heard the sound of running water. The entire first floor was flooded, likely due to a plumbing issue. While Jiu was fetching tools in the garden, Huisu caught him. Huisu invited Jiu to his house. Jiu mentioned his own home had just suffered a burst pipe. Wanting to help his friend, Huisu invited Jiu to stay the night. Jiu felt awkward about sleeping in someone else's bed. That night, Jiu confided much about his family to Huisu. The distance between them gradually closed. The next morning, Jiu couldn't find Huisu upon waking. It turned out Huisu had risen early to prepare breakfast for the entire family. Huisu's sister took a liking to Jiu. Jiu hadn't shared a meal with his family in a very long time. After breakfast, Huisu helped Jiu clean the house. They both worked hard, tidying up the first floor, spending a pleasant time together. Ginho was training intensely when Mina suddenly texted him, asking to hang out at 3 p.m. He quickly wrapped up his training and hurried to the meeting spot. Ginho was relieved Mina had forgiven him. Unexpectedly, Ginho confessed his feelings to Mina. Mina had feelings for Ginho, and her face lit up with a happy smile at his sincere words. Ginho and Mina arrived at school together. He seemed like a completely different person, bright and energized, a stark contrast to his former gloomy self. Last week, he stood waiting at the school gate for Mina, his eyes brimming with anticipation, a constant smile on his face. When Mina arrived, Ginho immediately blocked her path, insisting on entering the classroom together. Mina seemed annoyed by his actions, trying to squeeze past him, but Ginho wouldn't budge. Finally, Mina smiled and accepted him. Just then, Mina received a text from Jiu. Jiu confronted Mina about why she kept their relationship with Ginho a secret. He also expressed deep concern for Huisu, knowing Huisu was helping Mina maintain this relationship as an imposter. Jiu stressed that Huisu would be furious and heartbroken once he discovered the truth, especially considering how warmly and wholeheartedly he'd been helping Mina. At the end of the conversation, he earnestly urged Mina that she couldn't keep lying forever, and that hiding the truth would only lead to more trouble. At school, Ginho's mood suddenly changed after receiving a text from Mina. The message read, "Let's keep it a secret for now." The moment he read it, the bright smile on Ginho's face vanished instantly, replaced by a gloomy and confused expression. At lunchtime, though Huisu and Ginho hadn't eaten together yet, Ginho refused to eat. That evening after returning home, his sister announced it was her turn to prepare dinner and excitedly suggested a barbecue. She seemed quite fond of Jiu, constantly praising him and wanting to invite him to eat together. However, Huisu skillfully declined his invitation. At that moment, the TV weather forecast was reporting a meteor shower. The most spectacular event of the year was approaching, creating a romantic and eagerly anticipated atmosphere. The next day, during tutoring, Huisu devised a plan to invite Ginho to the rooftop to watch the meteor shower together. At first, Ginho seemed hesitant and declined, citing the need to train. However, after some consideration, he finally agreed. It was worth noting that Mina also expressed her desire to go to the cabin with Ginho. After school, Jiu sought out Mina. Jiu asked Mina why she agreed to go stargazing. Mina voiced her disappointment, hoping Jiu would be honest about her feelings. Preparations for the trip were quite hectic. Huisu meticulously gathered all necessities, from a rice cooker to instant noodles, and packed sleeping bags and warm clothes for the chilly meteor shower night. However, the list of essentials was quite long. Huisu brought the telescope, but accidentally forgot it, considering it the most crucial tool for clearly observing shooting stars. On the way to the cabin, Ginho and Mina walked side by side. He mentioned this was Mina's first trip and reminded her to stay close to him, otherwise she might get lost along the way. Their pleasant conversation made the trip feel shorter. When they arrived at the meeting point, Ginho and Mina were already there. Then Huisu discovered a frustrating mistake. They'd left behind the bag of meat bought at the rest stop. Worse still, Huisu lied about leaving his telescope at home. But that wasn't all. Another problem soon arose. Ironically, the cabin Huisu's sister had booked didn't exist at all, and with no other options, they were forced to rent a dilapidated room for a whopping 100,000 won per night. In the cramped space, what had been planned as a lavish yet modest barbecue dinner ended up being a simple bowl of instant noodles. Though somewhat disappointing, everyone still tried to find joy. After dinner, Mina quietly exchanged a few words with her best friend. At the prime moment for viewing the meteor shower, Mina realized she had to be honest with Huisu and stop hiding her relationship with Ginho. Finally, they made it to the stargazing spot, but arriving too early, they sat waiting. Just then, Ginho found them. He told Huisu that he and Mina were secretly dating and asked Huisu to keep it confidential. This deeply hurt Huisu. Huisu expressed disappointment, saying Ginho shouldn't have told him that. As night fell, Huisu vanished alone into the darkness. Jiyu hurried after him. Jiyu asked Huisu to slow down, inquiring if he needed to use the restroom, as moving quickly in the dark without lights was dangerous. Huisu replied, yes. Then Huisu asked if Mina and Ginho had encountered any problems, but Jiyu remained silent, offering no reply. The two then watched the meteor shower together. Huisu asked Jiyu if he had seen any shooting stars, and said his wish would vanish like dust in space. In anguish, Huisu thought about Ginho having a girlfriend and about his own foolishness. He felt like a fool for never confessing. Regret washed over him, though he tried to comfort himself that things could be worse. Still, he wondered why he felt so strange. Huisu and Jiyu watched the meteor shower together, and Huisu realized that with Jiyu by his side, he wouldn't feel lonely in his heartbreak. Huisu remembered Jiyu saying he'd never seen a shooting star. Now, they gazed at the streaking lights together, sharing a moment of awe. But to Huisu, those flashes symbolized something else. Feelings vanishing forever into the dark. The next morning at school, Huisu found his friend looking troubled. He was fiddling with a loose thread on his woolen scarf. His friend helped him sew it back together. Huisu felt confused by this. Knowing the scarf was meant for a confession, meaning he'd be rejected. His friend explained Huisu was being naive. Ginho came to school, asking if Huisu was okay. Huisu understood Ginho was referring to his feelings for Mina. Huisu steered the conversation toward lunch. When Ginho learned the dish was taro soup, he didn't come to eat. Mina appeared and asked where Ginho was. Classmates noticed something unusual between Mina and Ginho, but Huisu tried to avoid the topic. Later, Huisu took Jiyu out for lunch. During lunch, Huisu and Jiyu continued chatting. Huisu asked Jiyu if he planned to confess to Mina. Jiyu disagreed, suggesting maintaining a friendship might be better than confessing. However, Jiyu had a different perspective. He advised that rather than saying nothing, it might be better to try saying something. Jiyu looked annoyed and said, I don't want to say it. He wondered why he had said such a thing. Later, Huisu went to class and encountered Mina. Huisu was furious because Jiyu had lent money to Mina again. Huisu handed the books to Mina. Mina promised to return both books during the next class period. On the way home, Huisu ran into Jiyu. Huisu scolded Jiyu for helping Mina, telling him to stay away from her. Jiyu denied it, insisting Mina wasn't that kind of person. He tried defending her, saying the rumors about her weren't true. Back home, Huisu saw her sister daydreaming about her new boyfriend. Her sister said the guy was handsome and smart, but the problem was he already had a girlfriend. Huisu's sister remained convinced she was far better than that guy's girlfriend, and wanted Huisu to help prove it. Huisu tried to stop her sister. At school, Huisu found the teacher to try persuading him. Huisu offered to serve as the astronomy club's advisor, but the teacher refused, stating he didn't want to be bothered. Huisu pleaded earnestly, promising to do anything the teacher required. The teacher said Huisu needed to recruit at least 5 members for the club to function properly. Huisu readily agreed and vowed to recruit 50 members. Later, Huisu encountered Hichi, trying to persuade him to join the astronomy club by promising to treat him to fried chicken. Hichi refused, saying he was too sick to continue school after sunset. During a practice session, Ginho and his teammates were training. The coach asked Ginho to stay behind to check his swing. Meanwhile, in the classroom, someone offered to help Huisu with club matters, but Huisu hesitantly agreed. Huisu considered whether he should join the astronomy club himself, but then decided he could recruit enough members on his own. Suddenly, Jiyu received a call from Mina. Mina needed Jiyu's help filming for about an hour. Jiyu agreed and said he'd go to Mina's house. Huisu overheard their conversation and stopped Jiyu. Huisu suggested Mina come to his place, where he could bring his better camera, but Jiyu refused. Huisu had no choice but to go home and fetch the surveillance camera. Passing by his sister, he noticed she was in a terrible mood because she'd just broken up with her boyfriend. Huisu's sister said she wished he'd invite her out to dinner. Meanwhile, in Mina's room, Mina angrily told Jiyu that liking someone wasn't a crime. He should either confess to Huisu or let go. The next day, Mina went to find Huisu. She wanted to apply for the astronomy club, but this infuriated Huisu. He was furious, unable to understand why she was playing both sides. Just then, Ginho arrived to defend his girlfriend. He expressed dissatisfaction as Jiyu keeps approaching Mina. Ginho then declares he's dating Mina. Disappointed, Huisu accuses Ginho of selfishness and walks away. Seeing their friendship shattered, Jiyu silently heads home. Jiyu waits for Huisu at the bus stop. An awkward silence hung between them. Huisu finally spoke up. Jiyu apologized to Huisu. Jiyu's words left Huisu deep in thought. Ever since meeting Jiyu, Huisu felt someone had been encouraging him every day. It seemed Huisu had realized something had changed. The next day, Huisu brought his telescope to school. This piqued his classmates' curiosity. Huisu excitedly led everyone in stargazing, sharing various facts about the stars. After a while, Jiyu appeared. Huisu explained that when a star dies, its remains scatter across the universe. Some stars rise eternally, some fade away, and some transform into new stars. Huisu realized human emotions were the same. The end of one feeling didn't mean its complete disappearance. It might reappear as a memory or transform into a new sensation. Jiyu's life ran on a precise schedule. Every morning at 7 on the dot, he left his apartment like clockwork. He usually ate alone, and only a small portion. He was meticulous and rule-bound. This made him an excellent student, but it also built an invisible wall between him and the chaotic emotional world of a teenager. Perhaps peering through that wall was Mina, a girl with an artistic soul who harbored dreams of becoming a singer. Tennis practice was rescheduled for the afternoon. Ginho was overjoyed upon hearing the news. He couldn't hide his delight, but it also meant he'd have time to spend with Mina. Ginho's sometimes overly optimistic nature made Mina happy about the news. Exciting updates about the new training schedule kept coming in. The atmosphere at home was tense. Huisu's sister emerged from her room with a displeased expression. What was the reason? To make matters worse, Huisu's sister was going through an extremely difficult breakup. For the first time in her life, she had taken the initiative in a relationship, only to be dumped by her boyfriend. This pain had turned her into someone who suddenly flew into unprovoked rages, taking her anger out on everyone in the house. Huisu's personal drama seemed to unfold right at his desk, in an endless cycle. Then came another anonymous message. He took the message, a wave of unease and helplessness washing over him. His friends didn't understand, insisting it was just a joke, joking that the sender must be even more obsessed with those milk cartons than Huisu was. Huisu resolved to end this embarrassing prank. Just then, Jiyu walked in. Huisu quickly hid the water bottle. Huisu tried to get Jiyu's attention, which delighted him immensely. Meanwhile, Mina received notification of the second-round auditions from the entertainment company, but that day coincided with Ginho's first elimination round. She wished both these important people could be by her side, yet even though she was right beside him, she couldn't make it happen. She didn't want Ginho to attend the audition, believing he should focus on his competition. Ginho and Mina cleverly tracked down Huisu. Mina asked Huisu to help carry her heavy instruments. Ultimately, under pressure, Huisu and Ginho agreed to assist. Ginho's predicament extended beyond friendship and romance. That evening, he returned home after practice. His father, a man weary of life, confronted him with disappointment. His father accused him of squandering hard-earned money meant for tutoring, on a sport where he'd never be the best, always coming in second or third. How could he ever earn anything? Could he even survive? Ginho protested, insisting he'd never given his all. No one, not even his father, had the right to limit his potential. Before accepting defeat, he needed to see just how far he could push himself. On the day of the event, Huisu went with Mina. Mina clutched her guitar tightly, visibly nervous, as she frantically searched for her lost phone. Her focus was scattered, and Huisu noticed, comforting her with an unexpected story. He explained how antelopes survive. They stay alert even while sleeping, always ready to sprint at a lion's first sign of attack. According to Huisu, this tension was a sign of thorough preparation. This sincere encouragement came from her frank friend, who helped Mina calm down and give her best effort during the audition. Meanwhile, Ginho appeared on the tennis court for his qualifying match. Though a bit clumsy at first, he quickly adjusted his form. With unwavering determination and decisive play, he won the match and earned praise from the coach. This greatly boosted Ginho's confidence. After the audition, Huisu, Ginho, and Mina went out for barbecue. The air was thick with smoke and the sizzle of grilling meat, yet Mina was still tense from the audition, and she'd lost her phone. So Huisu, wanting to break the awkward silence, sent the photo to Ginho. When Mina woke up, she was startled to find Ginho standing before her. Neither knew where Huisu was. It turned out this meeting had been arranged by Huisu. Huisu had been watching them from afar. Finally, he turned and walked away. Huisu accepted the reality of losing his first love. A new beginning had started. The next day, Huisu and Jiu went to find the delivery address. Seeing Huisu tired, Jiu offered to help settle everything for him. During a brief rest, Huisu's hand accidentally brushed against Jiu's. The atmosphere instantly grew awkward. Jiu stated he had never liked Mina. Hearing this, Huisu felt a wave of relief. Before Huisu could speak, Jiu asked directly, "Is there someone you like?" Huisu couldn't answer. Jiu reached out and gently touched Huisu's hand. This time, Huisu didn't try to pull away. The next morning, before class began, Jiu came to Huisu's desk and placed a bottle of carrot juice for her. Unlike before, this time Jiu was spotted by a classmate. The classmate was surprised to discover it was actually Jiu. It turned out that her friend was the carrot who had frequently posted on the forum. She admitted she had been the one who started it. Singing a song, she revealed a shocking truth. She'd stopped when she realized Huisu liked someone else. But she ended with one final encouraging word for Jiu. Let him be brave and be himself. Jiu nodded in agreement. "I like Huisu," she said, which made her friend sigh with relief. She urged Jiu to confess to Huisu, insisting there might still be a chance. That night, an anonymous post appeared on the school forum. Meet on the playground at 9 p.m. The post was a clear provocation, designed to force a confession. The next day in class, friends gathered around Huisu, curious why he was so happy. Ginho came over to ask too. Just then, Jiu left. Huisu hurried after him. Following Jiu, Huisu was blocked by his friends. Eventually, Huisu managed to break free. Running around the corner, he unexpectedly bumped into Jiu. Huisu's heart raced. On the way back to class, Jiu asked Huisu if he wanted to see the carrots, but Huisu refused. Huisu said he already had someone he liked. Jiu was utterly stunned by Huisu's unexpected declaration of having a crush. The atmosphere grew so tense that time seemed to freeze. He wanted to ask who the person was, but Huisu avoided giving a direct answer. The next day, Ginho hid at Huisu's house after a conflict. Meanwhile, Jiu sat listlessly in Mina's shop. Seeing Jiu so dejected, Mina said rejection was something you could accept, but Huisu had flatly refused the date with Carrot without even trying. Mina asked directly, "Who does Huisu like?" Jiu said he didn't know. Mina joked that person might be Jiu. Jiu immediately denied it, but then fell deep in thought. The next day in class, Huisu's curiosity about Jiu's mysterious identity hadn't diminished one bit. He kept pressing about yesterday's meeting. Who did Jiu meet? Why meet at night? Yet claim nothing happened? Jiu gave vague answers. Jiu decided to invite Huisu over for dinner at his place. He wanted to spend some time alone with Huisu. At Jiu's house, Huisu noticed a school notice about signing up for the festival event committee. Suddenly, Ginho approached, and Huisu's heart began racing again. That night on the rooftop, Ginho opened the door exhausted. Huisu wondered when Ginho would finally be ready. Later, Ginho returned home. Huisu told Ginho about his fight with his father and how he'd run away. Ginho was surprised Huisu knew so many details about his family and life. Unexpectedly, Ginho's older brother arrived. He'd heard about their argument, and Ginho had run away from home. He gave Ginho money, telling his younger brother to keep playing tennis if he wanted to. This act underscored the unfair pressure Ginho felt from his father's favoritism. He agreed. This deeply moved Ginho. The next day at school, Ginho was curious about who Huisu liked. A wave of hurt washed over Ginho. Why wasn't Huisu speaking? Huisu kept putting off answering. The atmosphere grew tense when Ginho lost his temper. Why was he hiding this? Huisu felt deeply hurt and heartbroken. Unlike Ginho, Huisu found it difficult to speak up. Huisu's words deeply disappointed Ginho. Ginho had shared all his secrets with Huisu, yet Huisu constantly kept things from him, ultimately shattering their friendship. Ginho watched all this unfold from afar. He silently followed Huisu home. Back at the training ground, Ginho was set to face a formidable opponent in a singles match. A senior suggested Ginho should rest to prepare for doubles, but Ginho refused, insisting every match mattered. The match was intense. Ginho played brilliantly, but still lost the first set. At that moment, Ginho recalled his brother's words from the night before. His brother envied Ginho because Ginho could pursue his dreams. He urged Ginho not to worry about the future, but to focus on the present. Keeping these encouraging words in mind, Ginho began to calm down again. He gave his all with every shot, truly savoring every moment on the court. After the match, the coach praised Ginho. Despite the loss, Ginho felt a deep sense of pride. Meanwhile, Mina was feeling immense pressure before her audition, especially about performing in front of others. Ginho reassured her, saying his girlfriend would be just fine. Meanwhile, Huisu and Ginho continued brainstorming ideas for the school cultural festival. Huisu proposed a surprising concept, a secret room where people could anonymously share their secrets in the dark. He explained that everyone has secrets, and if left hidden, they accumulate into a psychological burden. Speaking them in a safe environment would make them less terrifying. Then Ginho asked Huisu, "Do you have a secret?" Huisu didn't answer, but his eyes conveyed unspoken meaning. Huisu decided to reveal his biggest secret. He turned off the lights in the room. Huisu said he wanted to confess, but couldn't face Ginho. Huisu explained he'd tried confessing to someone he liked, but couldn't find the right words. Huisu sensed something else was unspoken, a deeper secret he had never shared. Even Ginho understood. It was this very secret that choked off the words of love. In the darkness, Huisu finally confronted the void in his heart. "I like you," he said. "I always have." The words hung in the air, swallowing the silence. All secrets were laid bare, all tension finally released. The story of their friendship headed toward a new, risky, irreversible conclusion. Ginho went to pick up Mina from work as his mother requested. When Ginho appeared, Ginho felt extremely uncomfortable upon seeing Ginho and decided to leave. Ginho wanted to apologize for the previous misunderstanding, but Ginho couldn't care less about what Ginho had to say. The next day after school, Huisu invited Ginho to walk home with him, but Ginho refused. This left Huisu angry and disappointed as he walked away, only to unexpectedly encounter Ginho, who was hurriedly grabbing his tennis bag. Yet the tension between them remained unresolved. Time passed, and Ginho continued avoiding Huisu. Ginho told Huisu he hadn't been attending classes this week, feeling it was a waste of time. This deeply troubled Huisu. Huisu asked if it was because of Mina, but Ginho only asked, "How do you end a one-sided love?" Ginho admitted he was also trying to end his unrequited feelings. He had fallen for someone, but things hadn't gone as he'd hoped, so he found it hard to let go. Huisu and her sister were on the rooftop. Huisu's sister teased him for complicating things. Huisu asked her sister how to end a one-sided crush. Her sister's answer was simple. If your confession is accepted, it's love. If rejected, it's over. But Huisu asked, What if even then it still doesn't end? In a rare moment alone, Huisu confided that he had developed feelings for a boy. Huisu also revealed he'd once liked another boy. Though surprised, his sister quickly accepted it, shifting her focus to whether Huisu had confessed. Her unconditional acceptance brought Huisu relief. Huisu sought out Ginho to apologize. This surprised Ginho. Ginho blurted out everything on his mind. In any case, their childhood friendship had grown increasingly close. As they lay side by side, Ginho asked Huisu during their conversation, "Is it Jiyu you like?" The question startled Huisu, but Jinho's explanation was gentle, because besides Mina and himself, Huisu only played with Jiyu. Ginho asked if Huisu hesitated to confess, but encouraged him, saying even if rejected, he and Mina would still be there. Today marked the first day of the festival, and Huisu was incredibly excited about his project. Meanwhile, Mina felt immense pressure performing in front of everyone. She tried to run away many times, but was always caught by Ginho. Ginho encouraged Mina to have confidence, telling her there was nothing to run from. Once you start something, you must see it through to the end. Finally, Mina gathered her courage and sang her original song in front of the entire school. Though nervous at first, the music gradually captured her heart. Everyone enjoyed those youthful melodies. Memories of their innocent high school romance unfolded. Meanwhile, Huisu and Jiyu began cleaning. They entered the room to speak honestly. In the room's darkness, Huisu found Jiyu and confessed everything. Huisu expressed his pain, explaining how he'd spoken those joking words in the heat of the moment. Jiyu was caught off guard by this confession, leading Huisu to mistakenly believe Jiyu didn't like him. The next day, Huisu ate with her close friends, trailing behind Jiyu, but lacking the courage to face him. That evening, Huisu suddenly received a message from Jiyu containing a photo of carrot juice. Huisu hurried to the location in the photo. Just then, Jiyu emerged. Jiyu was stunned. He admitted he liked Huisu too. The sudden confession had caught him off guard, leaving him speechless and flustered. Jiyu explained he couldn't pretend nothing had happened, because his feelings for Huisu were too intense to simply fade away. He said he had to pour out all his emotions for this chapter to end. In the end, they walked together. They talked about the universe, how humans are just tiny specks of dust within it. But it's that shared insignificance, that common loneliness, that draws two specks together. Their path, now walked side by side, felt like a miracle in itself. The path itself was a miracle. They decided that no matter how mysterious and unpredictable this world might be, they would face it together.